Hey, everybody out there in cryptid land. Thanks for joining me and my buddy Dirty tonight. We got a really cool guest coming on. Her name is Beth Duncan. She is an investigator and researcher, and she has some really cool audio and some first-hand insight encounters she's going to share with us. So join us tonight on the Cryptid Quest podcast. Hey, everybody out there in cryptid land. Today we have Beth Duncan with us. And Beth, I am so excited to talk to you today because you've been having some really, really amazing activity around you.
Yes.
I've seen the pictures and I've heard the audio. And wow, I'm seriously impressed and a little jealous that it's not happening in my backyard. But I'm going to let you introduce yourself and then let you start off wherever you'd like.
Okay. My name is Beth Duncan, and I live in southern West Virginia. We live right in the Bible Belt in the Appalachian Mountains. Right around here, it's kind of taboo to talk about things like this, which at this point, well, it used to be. Now it's a little bit, it's okay now to talk about it, but it used to be really taboo to talk about this stuff.
I got you.
So I grew up, of course, I'm 40 some years old. I'm not going to say exactly how old, but
Yeah,
I'm 40
that's right.
some years old. And, you know, back then they wouldn't really tell us what was out there. And if they did see or hear something, they would keep it hush hush. But us as kids, I mean, we grew up in a haunted holler with Sasquatch. So like we didn't know it at the time there were Sasquatch there. We just heard these weird screams in the holler, and we would see these apparitions and things, but where they would blow it off, like we would just kind of, it wasn't nothing, you know, and go about our day. So we kind of got used to it after a while, the haunted part.
Yeah. That's kind of cool and weird how a lot of times stuff that Bigfoot does gets mistaken for paranormal.
And I'm going to tell you a story about that.
All right.
When I was little, my grandparents would tell me there was a ghost horse that would run up and down the creeks.
Yeah.
In my investigations, do you know what that I found that was? Sasquatch.
What's that?
Sasquatch.
Oh, yeah.
They traveled the creeks. I put my audio recorders out because I kept hearing it at night, and it kept going in my mind back and forth. Well, you know, that sounds like something living. That sounds like something making splashes, you know, pushing rocks over.
Yeah.
So I put an audio recorder down there, and it was Sasquatch. I heard them talking. I heard them grunting, doing the chatter back and forth, lifting rocks. And I would notice like that. Another reason why I wanted to put the recorder out was because I would go and look in the creek, because the way my house is there's a bridge, and then my house is right across the creek, and I have to go across the bridge every day. So when I would look, these big boulders were being moved to the other side, and I was like, but that's weird, you know, like ain't no ghost horse want to do that.
No.
So, yeah, that was like when I started researching. But before then, would you like me to tell you the story of how this all began?
Yeah.
When was it? Back in 2016, 17. I was with this person that was a horrible person and was not very good to us at all. And I decided that, you know, I wanted a better life. And so we split up, and he went to prison. And so he was calling me from prison and making me feel like complete trash, and which was not true, which of course that's what narcissists do. They So I had an 18-year-old daughter, 17-year-old daughter at the time. And she, I had 17, 15, and a 2-year-old. So I told my bigger kids, can you please watch the baby while I go up in the holler, which we own 100 acres of land.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's really beautiful up there. And they call it Wineberry now. Well, my team named it Wineberry because of all the wineberries up there. But anyway, so I decided to walk up the holler. And the way the holler is you have to walk up the first part, zigzag back, and then go back up to the I don't even know what that was. Back up to the top. And it's like a zigzag. And up at the top is a gray family cemetery on top of the mountain, and that's where the power lines are. And so I walked up there, and as I was walking, I noticed it wasn't like before. The feeling was just like something was off. But of course, I was very upset. And I blew things off like that because when you have emotions going 1,000 miles a minute, you don't really, you blow things off sometimes. You should always trust your instinct no matter what you're feeling. So it took me about, I would say 30 minutes to get to the top of the mountain. And at the top up there where the graveyard is, you go behind the graveyard up to the power lines. And I was sitting on a rock. And this rock, it was a big boulder. And I would always go up there when I felt emotional or when I needed to scream or get all this out, because up there where we live, nobody's going to hear me do that up there. Nobody. Like, this place is very secluded. So I go up there and I sit down, and all the emotions start to come out, and I start like screaming and crying and letting this, like, all the emotion to try to clear my mind and my body, my soul, so that when I get back down to my kids, I'm going to be all right. And so like it's not pouring, my tears all over my face, and I'm kind of calming down at this point. And I had took my glasses off and was cleaning my glasses, and I heard and it sounded kind of like the way a deer would grunt, but very guttural sound, like very guttural. Heavy, like phlegm in the throat, way more than what a deer would sound like. And so I was like, what is that deer doing? So I'm putting my glasses back on my face, and I look over the hill down in front of me. It was in front of me. So I look over the hill, and what I see was, it's still hard for me because it's so, like, I can close my eyes right now and see him.
Yeah. It's like it's like PTSD, man. I get it.
It is, because I was only about 30 feet from it. Maybe closer, maybe a little bit closer. I was trying to see how far it was, but yeah, I'm looking right over the hill, and I locked up. Like, my body, it felt like I couldn't move. I couldn't hardly breathe. Like, and then like my vision went to tunnel vision. Like, it was almost like I could see it, but everything around me was a blur, like all around it was a blur.
Yeah.
And like, even my ears, ringing in my ears, like that's all I could hear. And it would just stare back at me. And that's how I got the look, and how I knew exactly what this thing looked like, because I stared at it. It felt like, I'm sure everybody says this, it felt like forever. Yeah,
it does.
This is the phrase. It felt like forever, but it was probably a few minutes, to be honest.
Yeah.
And like, I felt like my body start coming back to, like, I don't know if that makes sense, but my body, my mind, my soul start pulling back to me.
Kind of like you went into shock, but now you're starting to gather your senses.
I was so shocked that I was in some kind of panic, and it just had me in this trance with whatever this was, which we know what it is now. Yeah. And we'll talk about that later. I knew that what I had to do was walk out of this 100 acres, but I had to walk past it, because the way it was down over the hill.
Yeah.
And it was diagonal. Oh. It wasn't like beside me over the hill. It was like I had to walk past it. So I remember getting the courage to do this. And I remember thinking, I can't go back into them woods, because if I was to go back into them woods, they may be more of them. So I have to walk past this, not run, because I was taught down here in West Virginia with these predators, you don't run. You don't run when there's any predator around. We were taught that from a young age. I remember, well, that's another story. I'll get that in a minute too.
Okay.
But, I got past it, and my heart beating 1,000 beats a minute, and it was almost like, it was weird. Like, I was very aware of myself, if that makes sense, because it was this adrenaline was going so much in my body, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. I'm shaking talking about it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Every day, it's the talking about this stuff, and
because you relive it
to you. Yeah. So as I'm getting down past it, I look behind me to see if it's following, and this thing doesn't turn its neck at all. It turns its body, And it was so graceful. And I remember this very clearly, that it didn't move. It moved so natural and fluent, like it was like a part of it. It was supposed to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like all these years that we're taught that these things don't exist, and this thing is coexisting with us peacefully here peacefully, coexisting, and it's a part of this area. You know, it's supposed to be there, and nobody told me this or taught me this, and I think that frustrated me too. But anyways, so I get past it, and it moved its neck. I mean, it didn't move its neck; it moved its body, very fluent, and watched me go. And I remember, like, I was still looking behind me as I was walking, and it just turned back around and started walking off. And the steps when I watched it walk was so it didn't bounce. It had no bounce to it at all. It was just so smooth and fluent. Every movement that this being had, very fluent, very natural. I've talked about this before. At the time, it scared me to death. But now that I have researched and studied and years of doing this, it's very beautiful, because it's supposed to be here just like I am. You know, we're breathing the same air. We're coexisting together. It's maintaining its hidden wherever it's at, and it doesn't really bother us here. He does like to throw rocks sometimes. They like to throw rocks at my house sometimes, or hit it with sticks, or slap it and run. When I cleaned my gutters last year, all these little teeny tiny pebbles was in my gutter. Crows do that too. So I'm not going to say that all of them came from him, because probably a good amount of them came from crows, but some of them were a little bit big for a crow's mouth, you know?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, these pretty good sized ones, and little pebbles all over. What I was going to tell you before is, when I was growing up, my grandparents, we went up to the spring, because we have like 6 natural springs up this holler. And that's where we used to get our water. And we was walking back from the spring, and something was following us in the woodland. Of course, they wouldn't tell me. They kept saying it was maybe a cougar, you know. And West Virginia's not supposed to have cougars, but there have been cougars spotted in this area. So they kept saying, don't run, walk really slow. There's something in the woodline following us. And all these years, my mind has went to cougar, you know, because that's what they told me. Until I hear all these other accounts of, that's what the Sasquatch do. They follow people out. And that's exactly the way we were done, all the way from the head of the holler, all the way to the mouth of the holler. So it was very interesting. And I was just a little kid. And
so can I ask you a couple questions about the one you spotted first, real quick?
Yes.
So I'm curious. And this happened at nighttime?
No, it was early spring in the day.
Okay. Wow. Yes. Okay, so this is daytime sighting.
Yes.
So could you get any kind of an idea about how tall it was?
Yes. My team, Wild and Weird West Virginia, that's who I'm associated with. They came down, and this is where we first met. They did an investigation with me, and they measured on that tree. It was 7.5 feet tall.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good average height for the ones that are further down south. So what color was his hair? I'm always interested in that. It
was a reddish brown, more brown than red, but you can see like when the sun kind of hit it, tones to it. On my YouTube page, my thumbnail is my profile picture is an AI generated image of what it looked like.
Okay.
It had a very flat nose, like not flat, it was flat through here. And the way I could only describe it was, do you remember them old treasure trolls in the 90s? That's the way that it looked, like flat. And then it had it had the lips, it had the ridge, it had the crest on the head. It looked very more human than animal. Just the emotion in its eyes. When I was looking at it, there was emotion there. Yeah. Like, I think what happened was it was concerned because it heard somebody screaming and crying. So I probably drew it in myself because it was curious. Yeah. I mean, I was screaming really loud and scared to death. You know, I mean, I wasn't scared to death, but I was scared to death at that moment when I seen it.
Oh, yeah.
I was very hurt, like, because of what he did to me, you know. And
yeah.
it was scream to the top of my lungs. And I remember feeling just like, and it was like a peace that came over me. And I know this sounds crazy, but maybe that it knew that's what I needed at the moment, because in that moment that I was locked with this, it was like I lost all thought of anything. I wasn't at all upset anymore at all.
Yeah.
I was more like, and it took me a second to be frightened. That was the weird part. Like when I was eye locked with this being, it was like, it took me a second to, for my mind to catch up with whatever was going on with my body. You know what I mean? Like, it was a, you know, we're taught that these things don't exist. We're not supposed to see these things. And I'm staring at one, like it was the most extreme experience that I have ever dealt with in my life.
Yeah.
But I never felt threatened by any way at all. It was just the fact that I had never heard of anything like this.
Yeah. But did you automatically know what it was?
You know, I had seen parts, and I wasn't interested in it at the time. I'm sure that I had seen like little films or little tidbits or books or little parts of it that said Sasquatch or Bigfoot. When I first seen it, I didn't realize what it was exactly. And then like my mind was like racing, like what could this, like, this is not a bear, it's standing up. It's has its neck to its shoulders, like I could see the hair flowing under its arm, like it had its hand against a tree. Like bears don't do this kind of thing. What, you know, my mind was like going through all these different, like trying to figure out what this was. And I was like, wait, you know, I've seen this before in books. I've heard of this before, you know, like, so it was very interesting. Like I finally like figured it out. And through all the chaos and fear, like my mind finally was able to be like, wait, that looks like what they talk about as a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch. So it was something. It was scary.
Yeah. 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 Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
I was just curious about, you know.
I talk a lot because like this is what for the last, 10 years, this is what I did every day. Like I'm not great at what I do, but I'm not an amateur by any means. I know what I'm doing. Like I went out and found footprints yesterday and they were juvenile. Like, let me see if I can pull up a picture and show you guys. This was yesterday.
I was going to say, everything I've seen you send me. I mean, sometimes I get stuff that's just like, what the hell is that? But everything you send me looks legit.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that was yesterday. And like the tree twists and all this other stuff, like I've listened to them on audio, and they have they're communicating with each other. It isn't something that they're not just these old dumb animals. They're very smart. They know what they're doing. They have ways of communication with sticks, with rocks, with trees, pops, clicks in their mouth. These beings are very smart, very, very smart. It sounds like they talk backwards.
Yeah.
It sounds like they talk backwards, breathing like that, but in this intricate language that they do. And in the middle of that, they do pops and clicks.
You know, I was listening to another researcher, and on a recording, they actually had somebody analyze it. Mm-hmm. And some of the words the Bigfoot were saying, or the sounds, they were doing it while they were breathing in
instead of exhaling.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's what they're doing here also. I set my notes out in case that you had a question that, you know, I had to look up. Like I did so much research that some like unbelievable things that I've wrote down. The food in this area that I wrote down every bit of the food in this area that they can eat, from the weeds to the fruit trees to the mushrooms. Like that's the kind of research I do. It isn't just
that's good.
I want to make sure that I'm doing this right. And so it's about the environment too, and everything, all the animals in it, you know.
Have you noticed a certain food source that they seem to be more attracted to, or they seem to hang out around?
Deer, mushroom. I think and roots, a lot of roots. Deer, mushroom, roots. Yeah. I was actually listening to one of my audio, and it sounded like when through a rock and hit a squirrel too. So, I mean, you could hear, I mean, that's what I heard. It sounded like the rock being thrown. So it sounds to me like they use a lot of rock throwing. And at nighttime, like when I put my recorder out, I could hear them hitting the rocks on my dog building and throwing the rocks against my dog building. I don't know if they're like just trying to scare the dogs to shut it up or to get the rodents to come out from under the building so they can catch the rodents. I'm not sure. Like there's
that's
still
an interesting theory.
Huh?
I said that's an interesting theory.
Yeah,
using the rocks. I believe they use them to hunt, though. I believe that's one of the, I don't think they necessarily always just chase something down. No. I think they just take a big old rock and whack them with it and stun them and then come up on them. But
yeah. And another thing people don't realize is sometimes when you hear a woodpecker, it's not a woodpecker. They take a stick and they'll hit it real fast in between a tree. They imitate a lot of things. And a lot of people don't know this one. Like this one I figured out on my own. They'll take a stick and make it sound like a woodpecker between two trees.
You say that, and every time I hear a woodpecker, I often sit there and think, and I do. I'm like, I bet you they could do that, but I wonder how they would do it. And then you saying that,
I've heard them do it on my audio recorder. I found their sticks beside the tree, and I've seen where the Y shape where it's roughed up in the middle. You can see where it's been. So and the stick, and they do this in this area. I asked another researcher that has been on I don't think he's been on your show yet, but he told me that in his area they don't stick sticks in the ground, but in my area. You go into a hot spot in my area, there is hundreds of sticks stuck all over. And some of them are made to look like trees. Like they'll stick a limb in the ground to make it look like a tree is growing up.
I've heard they do that around here too. Some of the researchers down here in the Ozarks been saying that's amazing. Been finding the sticks in the ground.
Yes.
And he actually had a theory that he thought that maybe the younger ones were like digging or playing or something. But I mean, I don't know.
I think it's where some of them are where they like to hit the trees with the sticks, and then we'll put it in the ground near the tree. Or
maybe they have a favorite stick. Also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It could be a marker, or we know so little about them right now that even the experienced investigators like myself, like there's a lot of throwing out theories.
Yeah.
We can say what we see and what we think is happening, but are we seeing them really do it? Just like the orb theory. We see the orbs in the same areas as the Sasquatch, but do you see the Sasquatch and the orbs combined? No, you don't. So you can't put them in the same category. You cannot do that yet until you see one go into the other. Like you have to do it that way, because if you try to study and you're making parts up in the middle of it, it's not real. You have to do it as educated as you can and and what's the word? The best way you can. You got to just, you can't make stuff up in between it.
No. And that's why I love, like, back to the orb thing.
Mm-hmm.
I love hearing people's opinions and theories on it, because I know they get seen in the same spots all the time. I've actually had an encounter with both at the same spot, and it really does seem
does
connected.
But you got to think why? Okay,
why?
Why are they both in the same area?
Yeah.
There's got to be something that's drawing them both there, and this is what we're researching right now. We're trying to figure out why that all this is happening in these hot spots. They call my little area the Skinwalker Ranch of West Virginia, Wineberry. Yeah, my little holler, because there's so much that happens there. It's paranormal. It's the orbs of all colors. It's the phantoms that we see, the doppelgangers, the ghosts, the angels that we see in the graveyard, the weird UAPs that fly around the holler. So this place doesn't just have Sasquatch. Like this place is it's crazy. There's a lot here, but I grew up in it, so to me it's just research. You know what I mean? Like I've seen this stuff.
Yeah. No, I get it, and it seems like there are areas like that.
There are.
It not just one thing. It's like
it's a high frequency area.
Yeah, high frequency, high energy. Something's going on that's attracting all that.
And if you think about it, all these big magnificent things in the past that they built on have been high frequency areas. Like, so that may have something to do with it, like where the pyramids are, where the Easter Island things are. Like, all these are high frequency areas, you know, and I think that's why they build on them. They build on areas that are, and then you see these UFOs and all this stuff around the pyramids or all these things, and you wonder, how come they're coming there? No, they were built on these high frequency areas. That's why they were built there, because this area drew them there, you know. Like, people kind of get that backwards, I think, sometimes.
So as far as your investigate, I mean, I could go on a tangent on anything you want to talk about, but as far as your investigating on the Sasquatch goes, what has been your most compelling? Like, your audio? Man, I'm telling you, the audio.
You can play a part of it if you'd like, if you want to. You want me to try to find mine? I can put mine.
I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how well it'll.
Yeah, here. Let me try to do mine. It shouldn't take no time. You want me to do the last one I sent you?
Yeah. There was a couple of them on there that I was like, wow. You know,
ready?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't even know where the speaker is on this thing. It'll get loud.
Yeah, I remember.
It's tree knots.
Yeah, I heard it.
Tree knots. Rock planks. Mouth pop. Mouth pop. Mouth pop. And then let me give them one of the growl.
Yeah. That's the one my wife liked.
That's them shaking the trees. They get excited, they shake trees. And a growl with it. There's a tree box. Growl. Oh, I don't know what happened. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't know what happened. Guess that they didn't want us to play my audio.
Oh, then maybe not, man. Maybe not. That was good though.
Yeah,
that was good. Yeah,
that's another thing with this strange occurrence, like odd, and that's weird that happened when I was playing that too, because a lot of people talk about, you know, I'm not saying that this is true, but their audio or their things
electronics
messing up when so that was really strange.
I've seen it actually happen in real life. I was the guy that does the show Sasquatch Theory. I was out with him one time, and it was in a spot. I thought I saw one day it was like a split second. I can't say that that's what it was. I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and it looked like hair. Blah blah blah. So he gets his cameras out, you know, and he's always got his batteries charged, and he goes. He's like, oh, we're gonna film, you know, talk about what you just saw and stuff right now. So he gets the camera out, battery's dead. He's like, that's all right. I got like 4 of them in the bag. All his batteries were dead. And
no,
and
that happens. It's weird.
It is weird, and I'm not saying that Bigfoot did it,
right? But it's a weird occurrence.
But it's weird.
You have to say that you can't say that he did it, but you can say that was strange.
It was strange.
Want to see my casts?
Yeah.
Here's one. This was the newest one. You can't really see it good on here, and the soil in West Virginia,
it's not very conducive.
Really hard to get a good cast.
Yeah,
but I
that's
mean,
the way it
when
is
you
around
see
here
it,
too.
there's this one. They're hard to see because you can see a little bit of it where the toes are right here and right there, and it goes down right there. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this one's a pretty good one. This one you can see the mid break really well. See right there?
Mid-tarsal break. Mm-hmm. You know who doesn't agree? Yeah, I do see it.
Yeah,
100% I see it.
Mm-hmm. And this one is when Wild and Weird, West Virginia, when they first got me on the team, they came down, and remember I was telling you the first investigation they did? Look at this one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it there.
And it goes all the way from here all the way down. Yeah, they did an amazing job. Y'all got to check them out and check their page out. They're awesome. Wild and Weird, West Virginia.
Yeah. When we get done, I'm gonna have you promote it again and tell people where to see and stuff.
They're awesome. Like they don't. The thing I love about them is they don't try to BS you. Like they're out here doing real investigations, and they don't like try to convince you of anything that they haven't like got data on. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of work.
Yeah, I dig that. I don't like it when, I don't like it when people try to shove stuff down my throat, but I like it when people do their homework and they have talking points. Mm-hmm. So that's cool.
I always say, on my channel, I'm not trying to make you believe anything. I'll show you things. You can believe what you want. It's right here for you to take whatever you want out of it.
Yeah.
I'm not there to convince anybody otherwise. They can take whatever they want out of it.
Yeah. Well, and when you're going with like your favorite stuff is the audio, there's something about seeing one would scare me, but sometimes it's almost scarier hearing something and not knowing what the hell's going on.
I fell asleep before listening to my audio. Quiet and peaceful, and then I'm laying there asleep, and then all of a sudden you hear boom, 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 boom. It wakes me up, So
do you have to go through and just
sometimes when you're
do you have to go through and like listen to hours and hours of tape? Yeah.
So, I don't skip through. I want to make sure that I get everything. So there's sometimes like when the crickets are chirping and the nighttime sounds, it makes you sleepy. And there have been numerous amount of times that I've been listening to it at night, and it scared me to death like that.
Yeah.
They can make so many. A lot of people don't realize that all the noises that they can make, everything that they can mimic, the things that they can do. There's just I could if I was to sit here and talk to you guys about it, I could go on for at least 6 hours about the things that they do and how intricate they are about things. It's unbelievable. Like there's so much that I have learned from them, and I think they allow me to get that close. Like I don't think that I would get that close if they didn't allow me to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
They'd hidden all this time. They're allowing me to come into their area and do what I do because they know that I'm not gonna. It's nothing malicious.
You're gaining their trust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and plus they probably watched me grow up.
Yeah, probably being around the area. So when you go do your investigations or go out into the woods and stuff, do you usually try to follow the same pattern and be predictable? No?
I wear the same clothes.
Yeah.
They recognize that. And I do like the same whistle. But I don't always say the same things or do the same things. I don't always go to the same places. A lot of people say that it's good that you do that so you get them familiar.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about. Because I hear that a lot.
Yeah, but this area that I research, it's so big, and that I've heard in different places in the area. So I've been to I go to different areas because I know they're there. And don't let people tell you like there's just like 5 or 6 in one area. I have in Southern West Virginia, I have 7 areas that I investigate in 100-mile range. And every single one I've heard tree knocks. Well, okay, let me explain this. Sometimes they'll tree knock to locate where they're at, where the other ones are at. Or they'll do a whistle to and when I'm listening to that on audio, that tells me how many is there in that area. Mm-hmm. That I can count the tree knocks and listen to how far they're going back to know exactly how many is in that area. I've counted no less than 10 in each area. So, and that's in a 100-mile radius. So how many is that with the 7, 8 research areas that I do? That's a pretty good bit.
Yeah, that's
So
yeah.
people don't realize that there's more out here than what they think.
Well, yeah. I mean, everybody always thinks,
Yeah.
well, there's the one they got the picture of. No,
Yeah.
no.
There's a lot.
No. There's got to be a family and
Yeah.
babies and mamas and brothers and sisters and dads for
Yes.
all of these things to be around. Yeah.
I have heard a mother coo to their baby and like hum to the baby. I've heard the baby cry and her trying to hush it. I've seen the footprints inside baby footprints inside the mother footprints. I actually casted one of those. My team has that.
That's cool.
Which means that they're keeping the baby scent down by stepping inside of the mom's print. And other animals do that also. So that's that's pretty cool.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And what else have I got? I've got so much stuff. I'd love to be able to share with you guys all the stuff that I have.
I know.
Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard once you start going. It's like, oh man, there's so.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
2 times.
Yeah. So, was that the only visual you've ever had?
No. Since I've been doing this, I was in the holler, and I noticed some scat on the ground, and it was a cool morning, and it was steaming a little bit. So I said, well, whatever done this, and it was big. It's got to be around here. So I sit there for a second. I was really quiet, and I was trying to adjust my ears to listen to every sound because they can mimic so much that I had to kind of like try to see if they were going to mimic to because they'll communicate and they have to communicate to get somewhere. You know what I mean? So I was listening to every little thing, and I started hearing like slight off owl noises. It was like it would sound like an owl, but something was off about it. Mm-hmm. So I walk over to that area, and I'm looking up on the hill. And when I'm looking up at the hill, there was these 3 shadows in this tree line. And these shadows, it was early morning, so it wasn't all the way bright yet. Yeah. And I was shining my flashlight up through there, and I can see these eye shines. And there was a small one, a medium one, and a big one. And they just backed up into the woods ever so like smoothly. Like just, it would almost make your mind trick you. If I hadn't have been investigating, I would have been like, oh, that was my imagination, but I know better. And they just.
Or you could have been somebody that said they just walked into a portal, which I'm not saying that they might not have that capability, but things like that happen. And sometimes people, that's what they see.
Right.
Well, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. A lot of people believe that.
Yeah.
And who am I to say that that's not true?
Yeah. That's how I feel.
Just because I believe in a certain thing doesn't mean that I'm going to not investigate with somebody or be upset with them because they have a different belief system than me. Because you know what? Sometimes if 2 belief systems come together, that can create great things. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Bouncing ideas back and forth.
Exactly. The way that I look at and I think I hadn't always been that way. I don't think. Mm-hmm. And since I've been investigating these people, the Sasquatch people, and I call them that because they are a people. They're not an animal. They're people seem to believe that they're just animals. Animals don't have advanced language. Like they don't have all this other stuff. But
well, they have real family groups too.
Yes,
though.
They do. Mm-hmm.
Not like birds or lions or bears where they kick them out when they have family
You're
groups.
Exactly right. You're exactly right. They're since I've been investigating, it's just a beautiful thing to know that I know they're there.
Yeah.
And I know that what I've heard from them is quite amazing. And it's odd to me that I think since I've been doing this so long, it's odd to me that other people aren't catching on yet. You know what I mean? Like, they're not getting the memo, and I don't understand because like that they're real, and I have seen it. I've seen it numerous times. I've heard them. Why aren't people you know what I mean? They see this.
I do know what you mean.
It bothers.
That's because most people just live in their little box that they like to live in because they're safe and secure, and they don't want to see anything outside the box.
That's right.
So
it's hard for me to. I was that kind of person at one time before this all happened. I remember somebody, I wasn't exactly that far though, because my grandpa would talk about an old man of the mountain. And I thought he was talking about an old hobo that lived in the mountains. Like I had no clue, you know, but he was talking about the Sasquatch because he was fox hunting and was pushed with 2 hands out the mountain. So he knew about him. He just never told us because it was taboo. But anyways, what was I saying? I have so much running through my mind.
Hey, we were talking about your grandpa before. Damn it, I don't know. I was focusing on your grandpa.
I didn't believe. I told somebody there was like, because there was a sighting down the road from me years ago before I believed, and I was like, oh, whatever. I said, did it have an anaconda wrapped around its head, holding a chupacabra's hand? Come on now. I said, those things don't exist. And then it woke me up because a couple of years later, guess what I saw? The Sasquatch.
So you actually didn't believe before you saw it?
I was the biggest skeptic in the world.
Huh.
Yeah. And it turned me into a extraordinary investigator. I mean, the things that they have helped me. They've let me learn their ways. Like, it's not that I just went out there and did this. I think that if they didn't want me to find the things that I'm finding, they would cover them up better. I believe that because they're very smart.
Well, I believe you being a non-believer before probably makes you a better investigator.
It does.
Because you still have that mindset capable.
Yes, I try to debunk everything. Yeah. I will try to debunk till the last minute when I can't do it no more. Cool. I mean, and it helps me because I know that if I cannot place it anywhere else, it has to be what it is. Yeah. You know, and it's just a mindset. But, you know, my dad was like that. Like, he was very scientifical, you know, like very smart. And he didn't believe in things that he couldn't see or touch. And that I was the same way. Yeah. Same exact way.
So, and another thing that rings true to me when your dad talks about the mount, what he called it, the mountain.
My grandpa called me the old man of the mountain.
Old man in the mountain. Mm-hmm. It's strange how it's kind of hard boogers. Well, that's what they call them down here, boogers. But that's it. Every area has different names for it. And it makes it sometimes hard to research or do any digging in the past because you don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah. So, it's like following a trail of breadcrumbs when half of them's been picked up.
Yeah. So in your investigations and your travels and whatever you do, do you have an encounter that was your favorite?
Yes. Hold on a second.
All right, you got it.
Okay. Let me find the footprint. So I was down in the woods and I found an amazing footprint. And it was a juvenile. And he was stepping across the creek. Let me see if I could find the photo of it. He was stepping across the creek. And he had stepped on a branch that was about this big around. Yeah. And when he did, his foot like smashed it down, broke it. And that's how I knew whatever this had to be was very heavy. Mm-hmm. And this footprint was amazing. And I knew that it was getting dark and I had to get out of the woods and back into the woods at nighttime to cast this because I was scared by morning this footprint would be completely messed up and you know, so I go back in there and I get halfway down there and I'm hearing the whistles and you know, like a lot of people, they don't hear the things that I do because they've not studied this as long as I do. So I know these little tiny noises that they make and these little, it's slightest things that I hear that I know that's them, that other people are not comprehending because it's everyday sounds they're hearing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just tweaked a little bit. But I know what they are because I listen to it so much. So I'm hearing this on either side of me. So I know that I'm flanked. I know that they're on both sides of me following me down. So I get to the bottom of the hill. And the way that this mountain was, you get to the bottom of the hill. And then as soon as you get to the bottom of it, there's a stream that goes down and then crossways. But it was dried up a little bit. And then it goes straight back up the other mountain because Appalachian mountains are ruthless. They really are. Like if you're searching here, they're ruthless. Just like the Ozarks. Like it's ruthless.
Yeah.
So I get down to the bottom of that little gully and I have a very bright flashlight. And I'm no better than shine it in their eyes. I'm not going to shine it at them. You know, that's something that I'm not going to do. I'm not going to anger them while I'm down there. I'm trying not to let them know what I'm doing because they're smart enough to kind of pick up on it. So I get down there and I pour the plaster and I hear 2 tree knocks right up the hill from me. I'm like, oh crap, I gotta get out of here. So I take two, 3 steps up and try to climb up that hill, and I get like I would say 10, 20 feet away from the print, and a tree falls on it. Boom! They push a tree on the print. And yeah, and then all the commotion on both sides of me, like I hear them following me out, like making the whistles, the tree knots, boom, 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 and they don't. When they're hitting them trees like that, to get out, because they're hitting trees, and here I am trying to, my 4'11" little butt trying to make it up that mountain and like falling, and then I hear and this is kind of like a revelation to me. Like I hear it and I fall, like when I was trying to get up that mountain, I slipped. And I'm like trying to claw up at like a weird, I don't even know what. And I hear, so I was like, so that right there was when I realized, wow, they have a sense of humor. They're a people. And then you start seeing the tree language that they leave, like in the trees and stuff. Yeah. I'm sure you've seen the one on my page, like what they left me, like the weed, the beautiful weed they left me. Mm-hmm. And then I'm kind of picking up on ancient Hebrew, like the Hebrew hieroglyphs. Yeah. There are certain things that I'm seeing, but I'm not saying that for sure. Yeah. I'm just saying I'm picking up on this, and it sure looks a lot like it. Huh. You know what I mean? Manipulation with these branches that are looking like ancient Hebrew, like and like I said, I'm a skeptic. I've always been a skeptic. Even though I do this research, I keep a skeptical mind, because it's easier for me to do that and to try to make sure that it's nothing else before I can say definite what it is. It's easier for me to do that, because that makes my work a lot better. Okay.
And so are you saying that the patterns that you're seeing, they look like ancient Hebrew, like the hieroglyphs, like okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's strange, like, and I found one, like my name Beth is in Hebrew. If you look it up, like they have a hieroglyph for it, and I keep finding that in a lot of the areas that I'm going to, and I thought that was really cool. But like sticks fall, trees fall, like branches fall, so I can't 100% tell you that's what's going on, but I like to think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, I don't want to put names out there because people probably know these people, but I had a guy tell me that another guy said that he was getting like these, like you said, these little
art
structures. Art. Yeah, I don't know what the right word to use for it is.
That's art. What it looks like.
and he said, "Oh, that's my name." And he said, "Yeah." But of course, the guy that was telling me this story said, "Oh, he was just a nutcase." But I'm like,
things start to add up.
Maybe not. And then this is like a week or two ago. I heard this, and then
strange.
It's second time I've heard this from you.
Like, what if that's a confirmation? What if that was supposed to be heard, and a confirmation for both of us?
Yeah.
Who knows how the world works, right?
Yeah. So, I don't know. That struck me when you said that. I'm like, wow, I just heard that.
Yeah, I can't believe that's so cool.
Yeah, and one of the cool things about with what I do is I talk to so many people, and I hear about things that I've not heard of before, and then I'm just like, when I put it up here, and then I hear it from somebody else, and then I hear it from somebody else, and it's like, well, one thing happening is like whatever, two things happening, three things happen, it's the same thing. It's these patterns,
right?
And so something's got to be going on.
Well, they have a language too, and with language, there's always been some kind of writing or hieroglyphs, right? So why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they have this?
Oh yeah, it makes total sense. I mean, I've never really thought about it before, but I would imagine. I mean, they don't have pen and paper out there, so it's not like they can, just write somebody a note. But hey, I can grab this branch over here and this branch. and get my communication across that way.
Mm-hmm. I've got a lot of Y sticks. And it's weird that I'm seeing them everywhere. It's just the Y sticks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, there was one on my windshield the other day.
Huh.
And like, I'm thinking, could that be them? And then you're like, well, why am I going to think like that? You know, I've got to see him putting it there to know, you know, that's my rational mind.
Yeah.
But it's very strange that I'm always finding the Y sticks. And then I hear a guy talking about it, and he said that that's their way of saying friendly, or you're a friend, you know. So that, I'm not sure how far that goes or if that's true, but if it is, that makes me feel pretty good. It makes me feel better than, because where I got run out the woods, maybe they forgave me. Forgave me for trying to get their footprint.
Yeah. Well, so you're saying the Y stick is like friendship?
That's what people have said. That's what I've heard. And like I said, I'm not, my research is getting their vocals and finding how they live and what they eat and their habitat, you know, what they're doing in their area.
Yeah.
Now, I know they weave sticks together. I'm not really sure of the meaning of all of it. It's just what I've heard.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think they have to no, I mean, with the weaving the sticks, I mean, we've been hearing about these nests, and they've been woven, you know,
Oh, the
intertwined.
teepees.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the teepees,
yes.
the nests,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, there's thought behind it, and
Yeah.
so if they're going to do it to a nest, I mean, it's not that much further of a far-fetched thought to think that they'll do it to
Exactly.
sticks, you know?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, people want to believe one part of it, but then they don't want to believe the other part.
Yeah, you can't pick and choose.
Exactly. How are you going to not believe it altogether when it's right there in front of you? You know what I mean? But
yeah,
like I said, I know they do it. I'm trying to figure out the meaning of, I know what a lot of them means, like the pointers, like the sticks that are broken. Most of them lead to water or a location of their interest. I've noticed that. The bows, I'm not really sure of. The bent over bows.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure about those. Or I wrote it down in my book, but I can't even, I have so much wrote down. I can't remember exactly what I wrote down, but it was a recurrence over and over thing. When I see these patterns, I write it down.
Well,
the X's, I think that they're putting them there for a human marker, like if there's a road there, or if there's human activity that way, it's an X. Just like
I've heard that about the X's before. Mm-hmm. You know, how they'll put it like, "Hey, warning beyond this point."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or if it's their location, if it's their area, and well, I'm telling you what, like I kept going to this one area, and I thought I felt a little bit welcome there. And when I went back, it was like they had tore apart the forest, like pulled. This is not in my area that I go all the time. This was like an area that I was going to try to investigate. Absolutely not. They'll tell you if you're not welcome, they'll let you know really quick not to come back. Branches broke all over the place, like leaned everywhere. Pam, 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 pam. Any way you look, you couldn't even get through there if you wanted to. And so that's how I always say, you know, if I'm going in these areas and I'm finding this stuff, I'm being allowed to, because they'll run you out real quick if they don't want you there, real quick.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. I've been run out. It's not a fun experience.
No, it's not fun, because you know, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, you know, I'm getting somewhere. Finally getting, and all of a sudden you hear these growls and shaking of the tree on each side.
Yeah,
just get me out in one piece.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about when you sent me the recordings of the trees shaking. My first thought was, they're shaking trees. They ain't happy.
No, that was in the area that I got my best audio, and that's makes me feel ashamed. It really does. But I got my best audio in a place that they were mad because I put the audio recorder. I put it down in a big log, and I'm sure they could have ripped it up if they wanted to, but they were just letting me know they were mad.
Yeah.
It was down in a big log that was like, it was real high, but they didn't realize that it had like a little hole in the back of it that I stuck that recorder back in.
Yeah.
So they were banging. If I let you hear the whole, it's like 12 hours long of just growling and hitting stuff, like growling and and all this other stuff, like screaming and whoo, 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 and all that other stuff they do. And you'll hear them, they'll go, or they'll go, or it sounds like they put their finger in their mouth. Like they manipulate, like sounds like, and sometimes they'll sound like they have a water swish in their mouth. Like, I'm not sure what that is. It sounds like they're holding water in their mouth and swishing it. It just is, in their throat. Like, sometimes it makes me think that they have, like, them monkeys that has the air thing.
Yeah.
I've always wondered if that's how they're bellowing these noises out, because of like the water noises that I hear from them.
Isn't it the howler monkeys that have that?
I think monkeys? They are. Mm-hmm. And I've always wondered, well, could that be a possibility? Like, we see them, but we don't see, that they don't really have a neck. Yeah. So we can't see they have that, little thing there.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh, back up at the place that I recorded that in an area that they didn't want me to be in. And they hit that log with stick. Like, at the end of it, you can hear them banging sticks across it. And in that area, there's 10, I think I counted 10 or 11 tree knocks down the mountain. And that let me know that there's 10 or 11 of them there. And they weren't happy. And that's too many of them. Too many unhappy Sasquatch to be messing with.
Well, I don't know. I'm thinking one unhappy Sasquatch is too many. But.
I think that, though, even the unhappy ones, they give you numerous amounts of chances to get out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They don't try to. I've been doing this for years, and it's scary when it happens. Like, if you run across one that's not familiar with you, and it is scary. Like, you start feeling that nervous feeling, like, am I going to get out of here? I'm getting sick to my stomach. And, I've been zapped a few times, and that was not fun. Last time I threw my guts up. I got a headache. I was in bed 2 days. I'm telling you, and that was in an area that I wasn't familiar with, that I'd heard somebody talk about. There were a Sasquatch there. And, like, the way that I have to get familiar with these Sasquatch people is I have to make an attempt. And even if that attempt goes sour, I have to try. You know what I mean? Like, in my mind, that's how I see it. I have to try, or, I'm never going to know.
Yeah.
They're going to escort me out really angrily and hopefully not kill me.
Yeah.
That's my thought process.
You probably got hit with the infrasound, because that's a real thing. And I believe they can do it with as loud as they can scream and yell and growl, and as big as they are. I have no doubt that they can. I mean, do we have any evidence of it? No. But I would say that is one of the things that I would say pretty sure bet that they can do that.
I'll tell you. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No.
I'll tell you that one of the stories, I was zapped. I was hit with infrasound in one of my areas. My areas now. And I wasn't going to go back. And I said, you know what? No. I'm going to go back. It's not going to stop me from trying to figure out what's going on, or getting my evidence, or trying to figure out the way these people live. Like, that's what I'm really doing. I'm just trying to figure out how they're living, what they're doing.
Yeah.
Even when I was a little Jane Goodall, like, anything that had to do with that, I was right in there, but it wasn't never Sasquatch until I got older and had my experience. It was always mountain gorillas or this or that. Now it's Sasquatch. But anyway, so, like, I went back into the same area that I got hit with the infrasound, and they let me back in, and now I can hear them around me when I go in, and they're not trying to hurt me. Now, I was rushed at night, but I'm thinking that it was the one juvenile that I always hear growling. That he's never done nothing, but I've heard him growling, like, and then, like, it quits, and I hear the rest of them around me on either side. But I think they're allowing me to be there. And I think that maybe that infrasound sometimes works for some people to scare them out for good, but not me.
Yeah.
I try. I'm too hard-headed, and I want to learn. I yearn for the knowledge.
Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes it's that drive for the unknown that'll outweigh that fear factor. So, I want to say thank you for your research, for real.
Oh, you're welcome.
I wish more people would be because it's going to be people like you that end up getting the ultimate, hey, we got something here. And it's going to be a citizen scientist that's going out and logging everything. And you're doing it the right way by logging everything in the books.
Let me show you. These are just 2 of them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Holy cow.
Yeah, there's completely full of things that have happened, things that I've researched.
That's the way you got to do it, man. That's the best way to
drawings. Drawings of the things that I'm seeing in there, and like they're taking the things that they eat in this area.
I'm impressed.
Like, and that's
Yeah.
Like, it's just, to understand them, you have to understand what they eat and how they're living every day. So that's where I had to start, and that's how I've gotten where I've gotten so far, is understanding what to get them by for one, not just going to the store and getting these apples, or what I mean. Like, a lot of people do that, but they prefer apples that are grown on orchard that don't have no pesticides, nothing like that. I don't know why, but they take those better. Like, so
I got something funny to say. So RPG is a friend of my wife's, and he told me one day, he's like, man, you gotta bring them an organic apple pie. And I'm like, I mean, I get the organic part, but apple pie?
Yeah.
Maybe they'd love it. I'm like, if it's an apple pie, why does it matter if it's organic? But okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it's cooked. I never, that I brought them my last gift that I brought them was walnuts from my walnut tree, nice. And chestnuts from the chestnut tree.
Yeah.
I like to go around this area specifically, and get things that are because people seem to think, oh, they would love to have something real. No, they wouldn't love to have something real sweet. They like to have things that they're normalized with, the things that they usually eat, but a gift to them that way. You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes it doesn't hurt to give them like something sweet or whatever, but they want what they're used. It's just like us. We want what we're used to eating. We don't want something, something new that we don't know if we're gonna, you know what I mean? Like they want like things that are around their area and that they're used to.
No,
gifting, I always take that in consideration too. Like things that the rocks or the things that are from around here, I like to gift them.
Yeah. So it probably makes more sense to them, kind of like if you got a Sasquatch up in Canada and you try to give him an orange, he's going to be like, what the hell is this? Exactly. Even though it tastes delicious, he don't want it.
Exactly. I learned a lesson with that. Bananas.
Oh, they gave me an orange rock to throw.
Yeah. They will not take bananas from me. They will not take oranges here.
They won't take bananas a lot. I hear, and a banana would seem to be like, it'd be good, but
exactly. But people seem to associate them more with a monkey. And they're really not. Like, they may look that way, but they're not.
No. I don't believe they are. I mean, they might have the hair like it, but it's
an evolutionary hair problem, I think. You know what I mean? Like, if you're left out in the cold, like we would do it.
Yeah.
If we were out in the cold, over time, we would grow this long amounts of hair on our body, long hair on our body to keep us warm, because our body would try to
compensate,
make up for cold.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, that's why they're monkey, this, that, it looks human, but monkey. They don't understand that that's what happens when something is left out in the cold that long. It'll start to grow hair.
Yeah.
They seem to forget that part.
Yeah. Well, I've got a buddy who's about as hairy as a Sasquatch, and he hasn't lived outside.
That's good.
Well, Beth, I've had a great time talking to you. Unfortunately, this is the opposite of like when you see a Bigfoot, when you think it's been hours and it's only been a few minutes. Well, this seems like it's been a few minutes and it's already up on an hour.
Oh, wow.
I know. We'll get you back on here, though, man.
Yeah, that would be great.
This has been a fun conversation.
Yes, it really has.
Before we get off here, is there anything, you want to share, or you want to promote?
Yes, my team on Wild and Weird West Virginia, you know, they're the ones that got me started and all this. They helped me. I was very scared at first, and they come down and did the investigation. I actually looked at me and was like, "Well, did it try to hurt you?" I was like, "No," and you know, they helped me through this process. So it's the team at Wild and Weird West Virginia, or Paranormal Horizons on Small Town Monsters. That's their show on Small Town Monsters. Make sure you check them out. They're amazing people, amazing podcast, amazing shows. Y'all check them out. They're amazing.
All right.
And
All
like
right.
and subscribe. Even to my little, see, I even forgot to say mine.
Yeah.
Sasquatch and Paranormal Sasquatch in Wineberry, West Virginia. Check out mine.
Yeah. Check out hers. Check out theirs. Do everything she says, everybody.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah. Like and subscribe. Anything Beth says.
Yes. Yay.
Yeah. Like and subscribe. Well, thanks again for coming on, Beth. And it's been a blast. And it was nice talking to somebody who actually knows what they're talking about.
Yes.
I mean, I talk to people all the time that know what they're talking about. But man, you seem like you got it down pat. You know.
Yes, it's a lot of work. It's been a lot of work.
I see that.
I think that's what it like. I put a lot of time into this, and I take it very seriously.
Yeah, I know you do.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Go check out her page. Go check out their page. Go check out all their stuff. And in the meantime, keep it creepy. All right.
Yeah. Out in the woods where the shadows creep. I'm trying to find a legend that the people keep. Bigfoot's the name, got a story to tell. Footprints in the mud, can't you hear the bell? Whispers in the night, can you feel that chill? Bigfoot on the run, he's a legend, keep it real. Bigfoot, yeah, he's the talk of the town. Creeping through the trees, never wearing a frown. Legend of the forest, he's got a big stride. As the trap beats thump, you know he's got pride. Like I'm on a quest, searching for the homie, you know he's the best. Got my camera ready, heightened senses on blast. Snap a shot of Sasquatch, legend unsurpassed. Eyes in the dark, you can't catch what you can't see. King of the woods, living wild and free. Bigfoot, yeah, he's the talk of the town. Creeping through the trees, never wearing a frown. Legend of the forest, he's got a big stride. As the trap beats thump, you know he's got pride.